All right, everybody. Excuse me. Welcome back to part 22 of my 2026. 22 of 26. There we go. Even though I have a feeling this is going to be more than 26 parts. Anyway, of my 2026 VHS collection overview series. So we are working in this room now, which the majority of the VHS tapes that I have in here are ones that I know for a fact I have not watched yet, because these are all ones that I have accumulated and acquired over the course of the past 7 years since I have gotten out of the Army. So, again, for a fact, I know I have not watched any of these. So, let's go ahead and let's start with Kolchak the Night Stalker, because why not? So first up, before we get into these here, whatever, no big deal. We have, this came out in 1995, I believe. That's what the copyright date is. There may have been a previous release. I don't think so, though. But we have Kolchak the Night Stalker 2 Tales of Terror, which is the episodes The Ripper and The Vampire on here. And I don't think these are edited together. They may be. I've never watched this. I've never seen this before. They may be edited together to make a movie. I don't know. We'll get more into that in a moment here, though. But actually was like cool, because I found this at the flea market that I like to go to. Found it there for $5. I was like, sweet, and it's still in really nice shape. I was going to go on eBay and grab this. Actually, no, this is this originally came out in 1987, because they still use the old label on the box. But this is a 90s release, again, with that, as I call it, the classic Universal Studios logo, Universal Home Video logo, because that's the one that I grew up watching, Jurassic Park and the Van Damme movies and such. So there you go. So I guess there is an older release of this out there, but no big deal. So again, I'm not sure if these are edited together to make a movie or they are just the regular episodes themselves. I'll have to check that out. But this is the only one that Universal Studios put out by themselves, at least officially, which we'll get into. And then I have the majority of the Columbia House releases here, because again, for those of you that don't know or don't remember or what the case was, Columbia House, in addition to selling the retail versions of movies and CDs, and before that records and cassettes and everything, they did their own kind of releases. We've already covered some in previous parts. We did Batman the Animated Series, we did Walker Texas Ranger. They did release the entire series of Kolchak the Night Stalker on VHS. Now, granted, it's only 20 episodes plus the 2 movies, so there's not a whole lot there to deal with, but they did actually release all of it, which is very cool. There's only 3 that I don't have. I do not have the movies. The 2 TV movies that preceded the film, the Night Stalker and the Night Strangler. And then I think the 2 episodes that I know Horror in the Heights is one. I don't remember the other episode, though. Again, you would think 20 episodes I'd be able to rattle them off like crazy, but no. Now, the only thing with this is most of them are not in the air date order. They're kind of, some of them coincide with each other, but not all of them. So just want to put that out there. So, but these are in the proper order that they were released in. So they did 12 VHS tapes. This is 9 of the 12. So we have Volume 1, which includes the first 2 regular episodes of the series, The Ripper and The Zombie. And I did get some of these at, I went to Monster Mania a couple years ago, and there was a guy that had a bunch of these. And then a couple months ago, I went to Retro Replay, and they had a bunch of them, so I kept whatever ones I needed out of there. Like, it was a bundle I think it was only $20 too. They were only selling it for $20. I said, fuck it. So I grabbed that and filled in the gaps of what I was missing, and I'll just go on eBay and get the other 3. I'd like to get those sometime soon here because I really want to watch these. And we have Volume 2, which this one's still sealed. This is the vampire and the werewolf. So this one, they themed it together. You know, vampires and werewolves go together. So there's that. Then we've got Volume 3, which is the Spanish Moss Murders and the Demon in Lace. And the artwork is exactly the same on all of these. It's just the episode summaries are for that specific episode. So there's that. Which I think they kind of did that with all of their tapes that they... Not all of them. The Star Trek ones, I think, had different pictures on each of them. But a lot of them, I should say, kind of had the same motif, so to speak, so they could probably save money and stuff like that. So there you go. But yeah, they put out the original Star Trek, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and I think most of Voyager in the Columbia House line. They did MASH, they did Twilight Zone, they did Night Gallery. Unfortunately, there is no... As far as I know, there's no complete list of all the shows they released on VHS. I guess it's impossible. Well, it's not impossible. You would have to get all of their catalogs. You would have to get all of the Columbia House catalogs in order to find, you know, how many there are. So there you go. But yeah, it's because it's Monday, and I had breakfast, but I haven't had any sugar or caffeine yet, so I apologize. Anyway, as I was saying, where was I? My mom used to get, like I said, my mom before, in previous segments, my mom was a member of the Columbia House of Music and Movies. She did, because I think it was both. You know, I don't think there was separate kind of entities there. But she used to get the catalogs. I think one. I think I have one, but it's one of the later ones when they had already switched over to DVD. But I think you can go on eBay and you can find a lot of the older ones. And yeah, you could probably, if you get a bunch of those, especially from the 90s, because that's when most of these were made, the VHS, like the TV shows and stuff, you could probably piece together a complete list if you get all of the catalogs and stuff. You probably would be able to do it, to be honest. So then, where are we here? Volume 4. We have Bad Medicine and The Energy Eater. So there's that. Which, yeah, Richard Kiel is in, who played Jaws in the James Bond movies. He's in this. He's in Bad Medicine. But there was another episode that he was in. He was in 2 episodes as the... Something moved. I heard it. He was in 2 episodes as the monster. Oh, Spanish Moss Murders. Okay, so he was in Spanish Moss Murders and Bad Medicine. Bad Medicine aired first, and then Spanish Moss Murders aired the next week. So they should have put those together on the tapes. Yeah, I don't think I have them in the right order. So. And you know what? Should not have done that. My bad. We got all sorts of shit going on here. Should not have done that because I knew that was going to happen. That's okay. I will just do that. My bad. Alright, next up we have They Have Been, They Are, They Will Be, and Mr. R-I-N-G, Mr. Ring. Yeah, because there's one in between there, which again is Horror in the Heights, and I don't remember the other episode. Then we've got the Trevi Collection and the Youth Killer. And the last three here is Firefall and Legacy of Terror. Then we've got Primal Scream and The Sentry. And then we've got Chopper and The Nightly Murders. And I think this is the last one, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I have to get the other 3 volumes and then we'll be good. Now, as I said with the first VHS, the 2 Tales of Terror, for whatever reason, I think in the late 70s, early 80s, Universal edited 4 episodes of the show into 2 movies, which are Crackle of Death and The Demon and the Mummy, because I have those over there. And they aired them in syndication that way. So for the longest time, I think before the show started airing on the Sci-Fi Channel in the 90s, you could only get 16 of the 20 episodes in their original form. Like I said, they took 4 of them and split them off into 2 TV movies, and they would air those instead of the episodic versions. Like I said, though, speaking of the Sci-Fi Channel, though, those did air on the Sci-Fi Channel because I have recordings of them over there, which I have not transferred to DVD yet. We're not going to get into that stuff because I kind of have that stuff all over the place. But we'll get into those maybe maybe not. I don't know. It's a lot to get into, but I am kind of working on multiple things as usual. So I got a lot of stuff to transfer over to digital. And then some of that stuff will eventually go here on YouTube at some point. Alright, but moving on, I do have, this is all of the Universal monster, Universal horror film, the classic old school stuff that I have here. I did have, actually, I might have had Dracula, the original Dracula. I might have had that at one point, but I didn't have many. I only had, I think, Dracula and then House of Dracula, which I have back in the collection. Yeah, I didn't get too deep into these on VHS, so it's all good. So of course we have the original 1932 classic, The Mummy. Cannot go wrong. And I would like to get all of these, but I want to get all from the 90s. It was called the Classic Collection, with that logo on there, because these are the ones that I remember seeing, at Walmart and Kmart during Halloween, and Ames and Caldor and all those other great department stores, which sadly are not around anymore, which I would much rather have those than Walmart and Target, but that's just me. But these are the ones I remember seeing in the video stores and everything. And I want to say, okay, this one did not have any inserts or anything. If they do, I will point those out. But we have The Mummy, and as I say all the time, which I know people don't want to believe me, or people want to argue, or they want to sound more intelligent than they actually are, if it was not for these films, if it was not for the old school classic Universal horror films, we would not have what we have today, because these are the movies that influenced John Carpenter and John Landis and Joe Dante. I would say Wes Craven, but Wes Craven actually had a pretty strict religious upbringing and was not allowed to watch movies and TV. He didn't see TV and stuff until he was in college, actually. But I'm sure later on when he did see some of these movies, they did influence him, but I think for the most part, not so much. But if it wasn't for these movies, all of the classic 70s and 80s horror films wouldn't happen, because, again, John Carpenter and David Cronenberg and Joe Dante and John Landis, even though he's a fucking piece of shit, these are the movies that influence those guys, which then influence the people that we have today and everything. So it really starts with these. Also, the original Thing and the original Fly and all those films. If it was not for these movies, this era, we would not have what we have today. And again, people want to get mad and they want to yell and scream and pound their chests, and they're wrong. They just cannot accept the fact that they're wrong. So there you go. Then we have Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. And I think I got all these. Yeah, this one has the insert. And I think I got all these at Monster Mania and different conventions and stuff. But yeah, this is for the Universal Studios Monsters Classic Collection at a frighteningly low price, so $14.98. If I could get words out of my face. So there's that, which is very cool. And then there's just very simple. It's just a list of all the movies in here, which is nice, but very, very cool. And these are classics. You know, some are great. Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, and then there's some that aren't so good. But, you know, I would much rather watch these movies than whatever the hell comes out today. So there's that. Then we have House of Dracula, which I did have this one previously, but I got rid of it because, again, for whatever reason, I got rid of it. I was just getting rid of tapes at the time. Like I said, I think I might have had a later, because they did do later releases in the late 90s. I think after The Mummy came out, they re-released a bunch of them. I think I had that release of Dracula, though. So, yeah, I want to get these older classic releases. Now, this one is a part of course, that group of movies, but they did not release it with the banner. This one was released separately for whatever reason, but it's Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Again, this movie is obviously a part of that, but for whatever reason, they did not put it in that line. I guess maybe because Abbott and Costello, they wanted to do something different, something separate. But it is early 90s, so there you go. So, yeah, like I said, now I'm going to do the front 2 rows here, and then I'll do the back 2, and then we'll do the bottom. So I'm just going to work through it. So first up, or next up rather, because we already started, this is all of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and we've got some Angel as well, where my hand is. These are all the other promo screener tapes that you have not seen yet, which is quite a few actually. I have acquired quite a few over the course of the past 7 years. There was one I fucked up. There was one on eBay recently. I should have just got it. I had the money for it. I should have just grabbed it. But for whatever reason I didn't. So whoever got it, fuck you. No, I'm kidding. You know, for whoever got it, awesome. I'm sure, hopefully, one will pop up. You know, another one of that in the near future, and I can get it for myself. So we'll see. But anyway, let's go ahead. And I think there's one. Nope, actually, this is the first one. All right. So first up, this is the second season premiere. This is for When She Was Bad, and this is a review cassette, and this is the final cut, because a lot of these also will have, at least what I've experienced with these, a lot of them will have audio that's not finished, or there might be some special effects that are missing. So some of these, again, this is the final cut. This is what aired on TV, but some are kind of work in progress versions and such. So there you go. But this is the second season, and this is kind of when Buffy started to hit its peak. The first season aired as a mid-season replacement, which for those of you that do not know what that means, is that's something that they shot a pilot for, or back in the day when television networks actually mattered and they had 27 shows a week and everything. Now it's all on streaming, but they in the back burner, in the background, they would have shows that if show A gets canceled, this is the B show that we're going to put in its place to see if we can fill that time slot. That's what Buffy was. The show was called, I think, Savannah. It was some teeny bopper drama, I think. That got canceled, and Buffy aired in those weeks where Savannah was going to air, but nobody watched the show, so they canceled it. So the first season of Buffy was only half of a season. It was only 13 episodes. But I think in the beginning, it didn't take off. I think it wasn't until kind of the back end of season 1 And then when they did the reruns over the summer is when the show really started to pick up steam and gain traction and everything. I think it kind of had a little bit of a slower start. And then, again, towards the end of the first season, then people started paying attention. And then in the reruns during the summer, people really started to get into it. And then season 2 is where the Buffy train kind of took off. Kind of like The Sopranos. The Sopranos, the first season, it did well. It was on HBO. It aired. HBO was trying to explode kind of at the time with original material and stuff. Oz was already a hit. Oz was in its second season, I believe. The first season did well, but it wasn't until the reruns of the first season over the summer of '99 when people really started to pay attention to the show. And then it kind of took off from there. So I think Buffy was kind of the same way. So this is the second season premiere, because again, they really wanted to push the show. And again, these were sent out to reviewers that would write for the newspapers or the magazines. I don't think season 2, but as the show went on, they probably also went out to the very early internet critics, because you have to remember, this was 1997. That didn't really exist yet. So there's that. And again, I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to try to finagle some things around here. Next up, we're still on season 2. Yes, okay, we are. I'm just trying to get this together. But we have Halloween from the second season, which is actually one of my all-time favorite episodes of the show. Now, it does say Sarah Michelle Gellar on here. I think that is her handwriting, because I went online and tried to match to see. I believe that is her handwriting. So I do not know if this was hers at one point. She just wrote her name on it to make sure that it was hers, or somebody just kind of stuck it in her face to sign it or what have you. But I believe that is her handwriting on there. Now, does it really fucking matter to me? No, but because I wanted the video, I don't care that her name is written on it. That doesn't increase the value for me or whatever, because I'm not going to sell it. But yeah, this is again one of my all-time favorite episodes. And as you can see, it does say at the top, I Know What You Did Last Summer, because this episode aired, I believe, the week that came out in the theater or shortly thereafter, because on the back it does say Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Sarah Michelle Gellar, star of this week's #1 box office hit, I Know What You Did Last Summer. So there you go. Featuring this season's most notorious villains, Spike and Drusilla. So there you go. So that's also, what you have to remember is Buffy was on. Unfortunately, there is no label. But this is, it is legitimate. It's not, someone made a copy of it and tried to pass it off as something. Some of them don't have labels. It is what it is. But yeah, this is, the time when that movie came out, which that movie was a big deal. And a couple months later, she was in Scream 2, which was also a big deal. And then 99 Cruel Intentions came out and was a big deal. And Allison Hannigan was in American Pie, which was a big deal. So there was a lot of things going on at the time. And you will see as we kind of progress here, some of that is highlighted on these tapes, just like the one I just showed you. And then, if I don't fall my ass... this is a little bit different. This is a For Your Consideration. So this was sent out around award season, the Emmys and everything, to get people to vote for Buffy. So this has the 2 episodes that I just talked about, When She Was Bad and Halloween. And it just says For Your Consideration. It does not say what category. So this was just a general tape that was sent out for, whatever reasons. Here's some of the highlights of the acting. Here's some of the highlights for the makeup. So, there's that. So there you go. And then next up we have Surprise, which is part 1 of the 2-parter where Buffy and Angel have sex and then Angel turns evil because that's what happens after you have sex. Apparently, you turn into a monster. I don't know, but this was a big deal because this was how the WB launched their new Tuesday night lineup, which included Dawson's Creek as well. So part one aired on Monday, and then part two aired the next night on Tuesday to kick off that new night of programming, because back then the WB was still in its infancy. It was only on the air for 2 years, and they did not have programming every single night. So actually this was January of 98. So yeah, the WB had been on for about 2 years. But again, they did not have programming every single night. Again, all you youngins out there, all you little baby childs, don't know about this stuff. It wasn't all just on your cell phone. So there's that. But oh well. So this was part one. I do have part two. We already covered that, but I believe part two also came out in a screener like this, in a promo like this. I have a different one that's in a regular slipcover. I think that one was a later release, but I believe Innocence, which was part two, came out in this as well. I just don't have that one at this time. So, but this is Surprise. This is part one, and these are, I think Innocence was the highest rated episode of Buffy. I think like 20 some million people actually watched that episode. And I don't think they got numbers anywhere near that ever again. So there's that. Then there's the label in there. So there you go. This is a final cut, so there's nothing in here out of the ordinary. Again, it's what aired on television. Then we jump ahead to season 3. My bad. There was one hiding. So we have... this is the 100th episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and this is Amends. This one is very, very easy to get a hold of. Most of these are not, but this one pops up on eBay all the time, so you can get this one pretty easily. I don't know what the prices look like for it, but when I got it, it was very cheap. Again, you might have to shop around. But this was the Christmas episode of Buffy, and again, I believe this was no, it was not the 100th episode, because this was season 3. There was no way it was the 100th. I don't know why I said that. My bad. I'm getting myself confused. Because again, 22, 44, that's season 2 and 3. Season 1 was only 13, so this would have only been in the 50s. So my bad. I'm sorry. I did not mean. I got confused. But yeah, this was the Christmas episode, which they really pushed, they really hyped. And this is a for your Emmy consideration. So again, this was one that was sent out around award season to get the voters to vote for Buffy, and which I don't think Buffy ever won any Emmys, actually, as far as I know. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think Buffy won. So there's that. Again, I'm going to move some things around regardless, so it doesn't matter. But all right, then we jump ahead to the prom. So we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer invites you to the prom, and this is a review copy. So again, for review purposes only, it does not say if it's a final cut or not. So this might have some oddities in here, so to speak. It might not. I'm not sure. But what is interesting about this is they do give credit to the lady that made the gowns. Her name is Pamela Dennis, so that's kind of interesting that they did that. Not that anybody gives a shit, but there you go. And what is also interesting, it says, watch the electrifying 2-part season finale on Tuesday, May 18th, the day before my birthday, and May 25th. We will get to that in one moment here, so there you go. And then, speaking of that, they did put out the 2-part season 3 finale of Graduation Day as screeners. So again, here's where it's going to get a little interesting. So we have part 1. Sunnydale High invites you to attend the commencement of the class of 1999 Buffy the Vampire Slayer season finale, Graduation Day part 1, Tuesday, May 18th on the WB. Graduation Day part 2 airs on Tuesday, May 25th. Guess what? It didn't. Which we will get to that momentarily here. So this is part 1. Excuse me. And part 2, again, was going to air the following week, but it did not. And the reason why it did not is because of Columbine. So again, we covered this earlier in a previous segment, but for those of you that came in late, or which is a reference to the Phantom, or for those of you that did not watch it or what have you, what had happened was after Columbine, there were 2 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the 3rd season that did not air when they were supposed to. The episode Earshot, which dealt with Buffy fights a demon, and her and the demon, I think, hit heads, and she got this power where she could hear people's thoughts, and she thought that she heard that someone was going to shoot the school up. What it turns out, the kind of the twist of it, is the guy was going to kill himself in the bell tower of the school, and they went into this whole thing about, suicide and don't kill yourself and all that. It's actually a very nice episode. I really enjoy that episode. But because Columbine had happened, they decided not to air it because it was too sensitive and everything. Again, it doesn't deal with a school shooting. It's just Buffy thinks that this guy is going to do a school shooting and, go from there. But then again, it goes into this argument and this, don't kill yourself. Like, yeah, things may suck, things may be bad, but we're all human. We all go through bad things, but killing yourself is not the answer, which is true. So there was a good moral message there, but it was considered too sensitive, so they pulled that. I think that aired over the summer. They did like a special never before seen episode of Buffy. And then Graduation Day Part 2 was the other episode that got pulled because at the end of the episode, the students fight this giant snake monster and they blow up the school to save the day and all that other kind of stuff. So they pulled that because it dealt with those circumstances as well. It was actually quite a big, for those of you, again, for you baby children out there, for you youngins, it was actually quite a big deal. A lot of people were very angry that they would do that and pull it and everything. The WB got a lot of nasty letters about it. So, it did prove to kind of be a little bit of a controversy. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar made all these statements like they shouldn't do this. It's censorship. It's this and that. Seth Green, I believe, agreed. I think the rest of the cast kind of backed off from it. But they did air in Canada America's Evil Top Hat, I think, when they were supposed to. So people recorded it and bootlegged it, and I have that in the other room. And then, like I said, eventually the 2 episodes did air. Or maybe I have it backwards. Yes, I do have it backwards. My bad. So, Graduation Day Part 2 here, season finale. It was originally scheduled to air Tuesday, May 25th, set to air on Tuesday, July 13th. So I had it backwards. So this aired in the summer. They did like a special never before seen night. So I think they aired part 1 and then they aired part 2 as a summer special. And then Earshot aired the week before the season 4 premiere. So I had it backwards. My bad. I couldn't remember which was which. So there you go. And then you just get a bunch of critical reviews and everything on the back here. There's actually one from the Baltimore Sun, so there you go. So there's that. But actually, by the time that this had come out, most people had seen it because it was bootlegged. And I think it was very early internet video as well. I think people had managed to get it on the internet somehow, probably very, very low quality, probably about 10 frames per second, and it took you 4 days to download it. So the good old days of dial-up internet, baby. Again, for you baby children out there that don't know. And then we jump ahead to the season 4 premiere of The Freshman, which is really the last, in my book, the last really good season of Buffy. The first 4 seasons were really good. After that, season 5's got some good stuff in there, but then the show started going in these weird directions, and then they switched networks, which was a big deal back then. And then season 6 and 7 is kind of where it dipped off as far as I'm concerned. So there's that. All right, and then I'm sorry, we got ones be hiding on me and shit. Then we have, this is So this is another one that was sent out around award season. So we have Best Special Makeup Effects for Television for a single episode of a regular series, sitcom, drama, or daytime. And this is actually a compilation video. So we have Dark Frontiers from Star Trek Voyager, Living Conditions, which is the Buffy episode, and then Just Duet from LA Doctors. So you have 3 completely unrelated, random episodes of 3 different TV series here in a compilation to get you to vote for Best Makeup. So there you go. And I think that was the 2nd or 3rd episode of the 4th season of Buffy. So I got it for Buffy, and for Star Trek, LA Doctors, I could really give fuck all about. But Buffy and Star Trek, I'm in. And people are probably wondering, do you have any other shows for this? Not really. The only ones I have is really Buffy and Angel. I have a Crow, Stairway to Heaven one. There is some for Star Trek. I've seen them out there, but I think it was for Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I don't think the Next Generation ever got any. Oddly enough, a lot of the syndicated shows didn't, because I guess they were, looked at as, inferior or what have you, because Highlander never had any. Which is weird, because Star Trek Deep Space Nine was in syndication. The Crow Stairway to Heaven was in syndication. But again, I guess most of those shows were not good enough to be nominated for Emmys. So there's that. Oh well. And then we have a spectacular 2-hour event that reunites Buffy and Angel. So this has the Buffy episode Pangs and the Angel episode I Will Remember You, because Angel had started, and a lot of times what they would do is they would do these crossovers. Season 4 of Buffy, Season 1 of Angel, Season 5 of Buffy, Season 2 of Angel, and then I think, if I remember correctly, I think there might have been one for Season 6 of Angel and Season 3 of Buffy, but at that point they had switched networks, so they really stopped doing it. But when they were both on the WB, and in the beginning they were on the same night, they were both on Tuesday, and then Angel kind of jumped around a little bit. So what they would do is they would do these 2-part crossover episodes to boost the ratings and to get people to watch and everything. So there's a couple that I have here where they did that. So this is the first time they did it, which is Pangs, which was the Thanksgiving episode of Buffy where the Native Americans came back and tried to kill the white people because they were doing that in fucking 99 for whatever reason. And then I Will Remember You is the Angel episode where Buffy comes over and Angel kills the demon, and then he's mortal and they want to spend their lives together, but then they realize they can't, so he has to go back and change it. So this was the first time they did that, which was a big deal. And again, they were trying to get critical points and stuff like that, so that's where they did stuff like this, which is still cool. And then we have, which I have another, I think the other one that I have of this was the award season version, but this is the one that came out around the time the episode aired. So this is for Hush, which arguably is the best episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Again, a lot of people will share that. I certainly think it's one of the best. I don't know if I would say if it's the best, but it's definitely one of the best, and it is one of my favorites. So it's the episode where the gentlemen come in and nobody can talk and everything, so there's that. And then we jump ahead to season 5. So again, we have another 2-hour journey through time. So that was the other thing. When Angel brought back Drusilla and Darla and these other characters, they would have episodes where they would go back and forth through time. And on the Buffy side of things, they would do it with Spike, and they would have the episodes match up. So this is the case where they did that. So this is for the Buffy episode Fool for Love and the Angel episode Darla. So they would go back and forth through the timeline and everything. So it all adds up. So this is another one of those situations where they aired it both to get more critical ratings and love and all that kind of stuff, which is very cool, but very good stuff. And then we have, this is another one that was sent out around awards season. This is for the episode Triangle for Outstanding Makeup. So I believe we're still in, I believe this is one of the last ones that I have for Buffy. But yeah, I think this is season 5 still. And we got Abraham Ben Ruby there as the monster. And you get to see them putting the makeup on him, which is very cool. But always liked his work as an actor. Always cool to see him. Yeah, so this was one that was sent out again for more award season. My bad, if I could talk. And the last... Oh, actually, no, not the last. The last two here. My bad. So the last actual episode one that I have... this one I got more recently. I was after this one for a while. I have a couple other of this episode because this was one of the episodes that they really pushed to get awards and attention and everything. But we have the musical episode Once More with Feeling. So this was the one that was sent out when it originally aired. The other two that I have, I think, were for award season, if I'm not mistaken. There's one where it has like this comic book style artwork that's pretty cool. And then there's one that has, I think, the episode The Body on there. And I believe both of those, excuse me, were sent out for award season. So there you go. But this was the one that was sent out when it originally aired, because it says air date November 6, 2001. So that's season 6. That's when they switched over to America's #1 network, UPN, which that is a inside joke. So, well, not really. It's from Clerks, the animated series. So the last Buffy one that I have, this is not an episode. This is more of a highlight reel, highlight tape. This is introducing Spike and Drusilla, this season's most notorious villains. Highlight reel featuring Spike and Drusilla. So there you go. So this is something that would air in between programming or on the weekends if a movie ran short, which would happen all the time. Then you would have 5, 10, 15 minutes of stuff like this. This is the stuff that they would air in between. Again, mostly movies on the weekends, because they would always run short with the content that you would have to cut, and you can only get certain amount of commercials and stuff in. So again, this was the kind of programming that they would plug in there back in the day. So I don't know how long it is. It's not that long, because there's it's 3 minutes. So there you go. It's right there. October 15th, 1997 is when this was printed, and for whatever reason it's in mono. I don't know why it's in mono. It should be in stereo, unless it's how it was recorded. I don't know. But, yeah, so this was just a couple-minute highlight reel to kind of just pad out timing and stuff. And it might have aired, maybe they aired it, during an episode or something to kind of, instead of having a commercial, they might have just piped it in to hype the show up, or they showed it before the episode aired, stuff like that. So that kind of stuff is pretty hard to come by at this point, because that was mostly internal stuff. That's not something that was really sent out to people to review and everything like that. So there you go. Also, there was, before the first season, which I think it's here on YouTube, they did do something similar. It was called The History of the Slayer. I think it aired when the first episode aired, the premiere of the show, and I believe they might have, again, piped it in between programming and movies and stuff. But I believe that's here on YouTube. And what's interesting about that is I think all the footage of Buffy herself, I think that's all from the unaired pilot. So there you go, which I do have that, because that's everywhere as well, except officially. So there's that. So then I do have some Angel promos and screeners here. Not much. I do have a couple other ones in the other room, but I don't have much of Angel here. I have more of Buffy. And the thing is, I've talked about this before. These are getting harder and harder to get a hold of because the people that have these keep them. The only time, like the one that just sold on eBay, the seller said that this belonged to someone that worked at TV Guide. So I guess they either died or they just sold everything off or whatever. So these are very harder to come by at this point because, again, at this point in time, the people that have them are keeping them. You know, if they are in a pinch for money or whatever, a lot of times they'll get rid of them, or the person will die or what have you when they sell everything off. But back in the day, back in the early 2000s and such, even a little bit later when Buffy was still on the air, you could get these very easily because people were just passing them along like crazy. These were supposed to be returned to the studios and then destroyed back then, but luckily, you know, like with radio shows and a lot of other stuff, people kept them and circulated them, which is always good. These should not be destroyed. These should be preserved. It's part of history. But, you know, again, they're just getting harder and harder to get a hold of. So that's why when they do pop up online, on eBay or whatever, if I don't have them, I try to grab them within reason. If they're $200, $300, $400, I'm not buying them. Even if they're $100, I'm not buying them. You know, if they're reasonably priced, I will try to get them because I'm a man of principle, believe it or not. So there you go. So let's get into Angel. So first up, we have this one's got some nice little. It's definitely not to scale. They definitely did some weird shit with the measurements here, but we do have some nice little pictures and such. This is for the episode The Prodigal, which was season 1. And again, this was something that was sent out during award season because it's for your consideration, outstanding costume design. So there's that. And then we have the episode, again, for your consideration, again, sent out during award season, outstanding makeup, once again, which Buffy and Angel did have some pretty kick-ass makeup, I will say. This is for the episode The Ring, which is also from season 1. I believe this is the episode where Angel went and did like UFC with the monsters and the demons and everything. So that episode I quite enjoy. Then we have one of the last episodes of season 1. This is for Sanctuary. Now, what's interesting about this may not be the entire episode. It says reference cassette for shoot date March 23rd, scenes A24 and 28. So this may be, again, I have not watched these yet, but this may be just some scenes. It may be some rough footage. I don't know. Again, when I see these, I typically just grab them because they're very rare. Where is... Oh, I think they're in the other room, but I do have... I thought I had them out here. Maybe we covered... I have bloopers, actually. I have bloopers from, I think, season 2 and 3 of Angel, but we might have already... You know what? No. They're in this room. They're just in with the stuff I have to digitize. So I'll still keep them on tape. Yeah, they're elsewhere. So maybe, again, maybe we will cover some of that stuff. Maybe we will. Anyway. Maybe not now, but maybe later we'll do, like, because I didn't do any of the blank or the DVD-Rs and stuff that I didn't do any of that. Yeah, maybe down the road. Anyway, let's move on. So we have another, again, for your consideration. This is for the episode Through the Looking Glass. Again, for the makeup. I believe this is season 2 of Angel. Yes, when they went to Pylea to go get... oh my God, her name escapes me at the minute. Cordelia. I was going to say Charisma. That's her real name. Yeah, so this is for season 2 of Angel. This is actually not the last episode of the season, but the penultimate episode of the season. And those are going to fall, so I'm not going to risk it for the biscuit, but that's okay. Then we've got For Your Consideration, again, sent out for award season. This is for the episode Billy, which I believe was season 3, if I am not mistaken. Yes, it is. It will tell you. Season 3, episode 6. So there's that. They're going to fall, so fuck it. Just do that, since I got a little bit of room over there. Then we've got, again, Makeup For Your Consideration. This is for Double or Nothing. And I want to say season 3. Yes, season 3, episode 18. So there's that. Then we have the season 4 finale. So we're getting back to the clamshells here. This is for the episode Home. Rough cut review cassette, so it may have some audio that's not finished, or maybe some effect shots that aren't done. I'm not sure. Again, I have not watched this one yet. But you got a bunch of blurbs on the back there. Angel is arguably the WB's best show, which it was, because Buffy was not on the network at the time. And yeah, I don't know why. I do know why they canceled it. It's because Joss Whedon apparently had asked for an early pickup, which WB got put into a corner. And they said, fuck it, we're going to cancel the show. Because I think that they kept it on after Buffy had ended. Because it was only on for another year after Buffy had ended. I think they kept it on after Buffy had ended just to kind of see where it was. And the last season did well. I think the ratings might have dipped a little bit, but it was still their, I think it was their second biggest show on the network. I think Dawson's Creek was still on at the time. I think that was number 1. But Angel always had strong numbers. But I think, of course, as the show goes on, as the show gets popular, more money. They didn't want to pay the money and everything, so they said, fuck it, we're going to cancel it. Which sucks because the last season is actually quite good. I really enjoy the last season of Angel. It gets a little darker, gets a little more serious in there. Pretty much all the main characters die. It's true Shakespeare, so to speak. But they should have just kept it going. I think they could have went in some really interesting directions in season 6, but they didn't do that because, well, Joss Whedon's a prick, so there's that. But, I think because he had asked for early pickup and the network kind of got put in a position where it's like, okay, cool, the show's doing very well, but we're spending more money and more money. How much longer can it go on? And Buffy's not on anymore. So, I think they just I think they made a bad call. And, it is what it is at this point, over 20 years later. So there's that. All right, then we have the 100th episode of Buffy, sorry, because I fucked it up, so that's why. The 100th episode of Angel, You're Welcome, where Cordelia comes back one last time before she leaves the show, which also the way that she left, I do like how they did that. It was nice as a character standpoint, but how they treated Charisma Carpenter and fired her because she got pregnant and everything is fucking stupid and all that. So, yeah, Angel was airing on a Wednesday at this point. Like I said, they in the beginning, Buffy and Angel had aired the same night, and then they kind of shuffled. I think Angel was on a Sunday at one point, then it was on Wednesday, and then I think maybe some episodes aired on a Monday, so they kind of shuffled it around. But it always had good ratings. That's same with Buffy. Even though I think that the quality of the show went down, I don't think Angel really. The only time Angel dipped in quality, in my opinion, was season 4. They turned Angel bad again, which was awesome. I don't know why they waited till season 4 to do it, but it was cool when they did. I have to sneeze. I'm allergic to the bullshit that they canceled Angel for no reason. And then when Angel turned good, then they did that 5 or 6 episode story arc where Cordelia and Connor, Angel's son, had sex. Then she got pregnant with the demon baby, and then Gina Torres played the demon baby, and she blocked out the sun, and like that. That shit got stupid. That, I think most people would agree. That's where they dipped, and then luckily they learned from their mistakes and they recovered. Because season 5, I think, is really good. I don't think, other than that, I don't think Angel really did. Buffy dipped after season 4, really. Season 5 is good. There's some really good episodes in there. The Body, where Buffy's mom dies. There's some other good stuff in there, too. But season 6 and 7, if I never watch those seasons again, I think I'll be okay, to be honest. Because to me, I mean, I like that Willow turned evil. I liked that, and I liked that they had the nerds that got picked on in high school. I like that they became the villains and they made like the Buffy robot. But other than that, if I never watch those 2 seasons ever again, I think I'll be good. But the show was still popular. The ratings never really suffered, so there's that. But oh well. Sorry, fucking all stuffed up. And we got a couple more here. This is, speaking of the series finale, this is the series finale of Angel. It says it on the front here. His last stand will be his finest hour. Angel, the end. Series finale, Wednesday, May 19th, which was my birthday. So there you go. My 12th birthday is when the last episode of Angel aired. Get the glare off of there. So there you go. So I do have the final episode here on VHS. The pilot did come out, well, not the pilot, but the first episode came out, but I don't have that one right now. That one, the last time that was on eBay, that sold very quickly. I missed out on that one, so I'll have to get that at some point. And then the last Angel one that I have here, this is, no, leave me alone. Anyway, this is the pilot presentation for Angel and also Safe Harbor, which was I don't think it was a spin-off. Yeah, it wasn't a spin-off of Seventh Heaven, but it was the same people, it was the same producers, and it did not last long. But Gregory Harrison was in it, and then also the guy that played Andros on Power Rangers in Space, which we'll get to these later. He was in it. It was only on, I think, for a season. I do kind of remember that one. I don't remember much of it, but there you go. So this was a promo. Again, this was stuff that would probably air before the shows aired on TV. Again, like the Spike and Drusilla. They would air these in between movies or programming and stuff to hype the shows up because they were about to air on the network. So again, this is something that wasn't really sent out, you know what I mean, to for public consumption. Apparently the Angel presentation is only a minute. So again, this was just a promo that would air in between, and then I think it does have Safe Harbor presentation. It's probably the pilot of the show or kind of a making of or something. But again, I haven't watched these yet, so there you go. But again, this is something that, unlike the rest of them, was not really for public consumption. That was more internal, or that's also ones that they probably sent out to the networks, to the affiliates to air. So there's that. So I will go, I will knock out, let's knock out this rest of this row here, and we'll call it a segment here. So next up, I do have the rest of the Jeff Speakman movies on VHS. I have not got to these yet. So first up, I did have this one on VHS, and then I got rid of it because honestly I'm not that big on the movie. but I wanted to get it back in the collection because, there is some good stuff in this movie. I just wish that it was better. That's just me. But we have The Expert, which, again, in America, this only ever came out on VHS and Laserdisc. It does have an overseas DVD, which I do have, but that's in full screen. The Laserdisc here in America is in widescreen. So there you go. But there is some good stuff, again, in the film. I just wish that the film was better. Excuse me. Then we got a couple PM Entertainment movies that he did. So first up, we have Land of the Free, which is pretty fun. Him going up against Captain Kirk. But I do like this one. I think this one's pretty fun. It's got some good action scenes in it. Not a bad movie. And then we have, same deal, Running Red with the very lovely Angie Everhart. The title is embossed, which is very cool. Even on the spine, the title is embossed. So there's that. But I never had Land of the Free or Running Red before, but they are two that I actually have a lot of fun with. I enjoy both of those. And again, The Expert I do like. I just wish that it was better. So there's that. Then we have, I got this at the flea market or Retro Replay, one of the two, but we have Runaway with Tom Selleck. Great movie. Always really enjoy this. I believe I had Runaway on VHS prior, I think, because this is a re-release from the 90s. I think the one I had was the original because it had the black border and the RCA Columbia on there. But yeah, this one's good enough. Yeah, I think I might have had it prior to this, but still no Blu-ray for Runaway here in America, which sucks because really enjoy that film. Very underrated 80s sci-fi action film. It definitely deserves more. I think when it came out, it did okay. I think it came out around the same time as The Terminator, though, so The Terminator kind of gobbled everything up, but I quite like that film. And then Gene Simmons, as I said with Wanted Dead or Alive, Gene Simmons played a great villain, so I can't complain. So there you go. Next up, I've had this on VHS multiple times, so this is I'm not gonna get it again. This is the last time. But we have Three Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain, which I think I got at the flea market for $3. I can't complain because how they do it there is they do these stickers. Red is $3, green is $5, and then everything else is individually priced. But yeah, I think this is the third time I've had this on VHS, so there you go. But definitely the worst of the Three Ninjas movies, but I remember seeing that when it first came out on VHS because it did play in theaters, but I didn't know it played in. I didn't know it was a thing until, of course, this was also in the 90s. The internet's not what it is now, but it's like, wait, there's another Three Ninjas movie? So there you go. Then we got Dudes. I really enjoyed this film. I did review this on the old channel. This was a paid request, but I really enjoyed this film. Again, this might be my favorite Penelope Spheris movie, but I found it for $5. Cannot complain. Yes, it's on Blu-ray and such here in America, but wanted to get it on VHS because why not? But actually really enjoyed that film. Then yeah, you know what? I'll do it this way. I got some Chuck Norris. I have more, I think a couple more Chuck Norris VHS down below here, which we'll get to later. But for now, you know what? I'll skip it for now. We'll skip Chuck Norris. We'll come back. That way I'll do it all at once. So, and then we'll do that. Okay, we'll skip Chuck Norris and Bronson because I have more elsewhere. I'll just do it at once. So, yeah, we'll skip over. We'll do Doctor Who, and then we'll do some movies, and then we'll be done. Oh, shit. Of course that was going to happen. Alright, so these are the other Doctor Who VHS that I have. I don't have, this is it, and then I have the TV movie, which we already covered as a screener, because again, it never came out in America. So first up, we've got some, I think it's all, no, Tom Baker, Peter Davison. Yeah, okay, so it's just the the fourth and the fifth Doctor. So first up, we have Terror of the Zygons. There's that. Got that at the flea market, I think. Then we've got Planet of Evil, which I think I got this one at Creature Feature the last time I went a couple years ago. I have not gone to Creature Feature in a couple years, and I'm not going to go this year, sadly, which is actually this weekend. Maybe next year I'll be able to go. We'll see. Then we've got The Power of Crawl, and I love the artwork on these. These are awesome. Kind of that like comic book style artwork, I think is very cool. That was at the flea market. I think the rest of them I got at the flea market. Yeah. Then we've got Castrovalva, which I think these are in order. We got Earthshock. We've got Enlightenment. And last but not least, we do have More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, which was a documentary that was done in the 90s, early 90s, so for the 30th anniversary of the show. So that's all the Doctor Who VHS that I have. I would like to get all of them, to be honest, because again, I love that artwork on there. It's very cool. Then we've got, I found this at the flea market, we got Hit List. I actually reviewed this on the old channel. This was a paid request. I really enjoyed this movie, actually. I think here in America, it's only ever come out on VHS. There might be a laser disc, I'm not sure. But we've got Jan Michael Vincent is in here as the hero, I believe. Lance Henriksen is the villain. Charles Napier, Rip Torn is in it, and it's directed by William Lustig. So there you go. But again, I actually quite enjoyed that movie. And then we will wrap it up here. I do have the first three Sniper movies on VHS, because these are the only good ones. And these are the only ones that came out on VHS. So there you go. So we have the original, which is still the best in my book and still my favorite. Still quite enjoy this one. I got this at the local the last local mom and pop store when they were getting rid of all their stuff. And then I got the other two on eBay. I got Sniper 2, which I remember when Cinemax would run that. I think they put it on there quite a bit. I used to watch it a lot. Got this one sealed, which is cool. But yeah, good sequel. I know it was many years later, but I thought this was one that actually worked. So, not too bad. And then we have Sniper 3, which I think this is a late release from Sony, from Columbia TriStar. I think this is one of the last ones that they... Well, 2004, so yeah, this might have been one of the last ones they put out on VHS. But I remember Spike TV actually premiered this back in the day and used to watch it. So Sniper 2 was HBO Cinemax. I think it was on there, and then it went to video, or maybe it was the other way around. But I remember seeing Sniper 2 on there quite a bit, and then Sniper 3 was Spike TV, because Sony back in the day they used to have, think about your words before you're going to say them. Sony, Columbia TriStar, a lot of their movies would air on the USA Network. They did a bunch of the Steven Seagal direct-to-video movies, a bunch of the Van Damme direct-to-video movies, and then I think when that deal expired, they went over to Spike TV, because I think Until Death with Van Damme. I think it premiered on there. There were some Seagal movies that premiered on there back in the day. So there you go. But the first three Snipers I quite enjoy. There's another one that just came out, or it's about to come out. So they're still making sniper movies, and Tom Berenger's in it. So I don't know what's up with that. But one of these days, I would like to, maybe like a Saturday or a Sunday, if I don't have anything going on, I would like to do the Sniper trilogy and the Substitute quadrilogy. Try to watch all 7 in one day. Get up early and just, if I got nothing going on, like the good old days. So there you go. And sadly, the first Sniper is on Blu-ray here in America. There's an overseas Blu-ray. It's a different version of the movie, so I would like to find that. But sadly, Sniper 2 and 3 are stuck on DVD. So, and I used to have, they did a box set. They did a Sniper trilogy box set. I still have the disc, like the DVDs for 2 and 3. I just got rid of the first because it's on Blu-ray. But I remember getting that at an FYE back in the day. So there you go. But hopefully those will come out on Blu-ray. The Substitute movies, the first one, I think this week, I think tomorrow, the first one's getting the Lionsgate limited release. So I'll try to grab that. And then the overseas Blu-ray I already had. So we'll see. Hopefully, again, Sniper 2 and 3 will get picked up. But that's it for now. When we come back in part 23, we'll take care of this row back here, and then we'll try to work in the back a little bit. We'll see what happens. But as always, thank you for watching. Most importantly, take care of yourselves. And we'll talk to you guys on the next one. We'll see you in a little bit. Later.